Take a good look at that rack holding those aluminum parts. Unassuming, isn't it? Yet this simple fixture is the unsung hero of anodizing, the key to turning raw metal into art, efficiency, and profit. Anodizing, the electrochemical transformation of aluminum into a durable, colored oxide finish, might seem all about chemistry and voltage. But here's the kicker. None of it works without a brilliantly designed rack to hold each part. Racks aren't just metal hangers, they are the arteries of the anodizing process, carrying the electric current that drives atomic-scale reactions. A poorly designed rack can torpedo your coating quality, causing blotchy finishes, thin spots, burned edges, and skyrocketing scrap rates. Conversely, an optimized rack is like a conductor of a symphony, orchestrating uniform current flow, ensuring every part gets equal treatment, and scaling up production to cosmic levels of efficiency. We're diving to the atomic realm now. At the interface of rack and part, electrons surge from the titanium rack into the aluminum piece, dancing through crystal lattices. Every aluminum atom that gives up electrons pairs with oxygen from the electrolyte, building an oxide layer, one molecule at a time. This microscopic process determines macro-scale outcomes: color, thickness, and finish. Uniform current distribution is our golden goal, and achieving it starts with engineering the rack. So you've got a new aluminum part to anodize. It could be anything: a smartphone chassis, a batch of aerospace fasteners, or a cosmetic bottle cap, and you need a rack design from first principles. How do the world's smartest engineers tackle this? Let's break it down. 1. Study the part and choose contact points. Examine the geometry and cosmetics of the part. Where can you grab it without ruining function or beauty? Contact points are sacred. Those spots won't anodize, leaving tiny bare marks. The trick is to place them where they're hidden or non-critical. 2. Decide the number of contacts. One point of contact may suffice for a small part, but larger surface areas need multiple contacts to carry more current and maintain uniform distribution. Think of a long part. If you only attach it at one end, the far end might under-anodize because the current path is longer. Multiple contacts act like parallel wiring, delivering current evenly across a big part. Plus, spreading out the load avoids overheating any single contact. As a rule of thumb, each titanium contact point comfortably carries 8 amps before you risk heating. Big parts requiring, say, 40 amps total should have 5 points or use beefier clamps. It's like using multiple smaller engines to pull a heavy train, rather than one engine straining to do it all. 3. Select the rack material and style. Material selection for anodizing rack design must balance electrical conductivity, mechanical resilience, and chemical stability across extreme process conditions. The material must also withstand repetitive thermal cycling, maintain elastic recovery for secure contact pressure, and resist galvanic or chemical degradation in acidic or alkaline baths. The optimal alloy must also allow fine machinability and consistent mechanical tolerances to maintain uniform oxide growth across the part's surface. Material performance is ultimately constrained not just by its bulk properties, but by contact design, deformation behavior under clamping force, and its stability during long-term exposure to cleaning, etching, and coloring chemistries, where the wrong alloy can silently erode process consistency and product yield over millions of cycles. The rack style could be pins, clips, or clamps. Pins or spikes are great for small parts or internal holes, e.g. sliding a titanium pin into a screw hole. It gives a tiny contact point and minimal mark. Ensure the pin is sharp or under spring tension to cut through any oxide on the aluminum part and make a solid connection. Clips, think of a spring-loaded titanium clip that pinches the part. These offer line contacts or a couple of point contacts. Clips must exert enough pressure to bite through the oxide film on aluminum and not wobble. They're versatile for oddly shaped parts. Clamps, for large parts or high current demands, a robust clamp, like a vice grip made of TI, can carry 60+ amps through a broad area. Clamps leave a bigger mark, but sometimes you hide that on a machined surface or a portion later covered by another component. Choose the method that secures the part rigidly, motion during anodize is bad news, and conducts enough current without overheating. 4. Optimize part orientation and spacing. Orient parts so that no pockets trap air or solution. A classic rookie mistake is racking a cup-shaped part facing upward. It'll trap an air bubble, and that area won't anodize at all, a perfect little uncoated circle. Instead, angle or flip parts so bubbles escape freely. Also consider how the etching and cleaning solutions will drain. Parts should be tilted or have drain holes at the lowest point to avoid acid or rinse water pooling inside cavities, which can later seep out and stain after sealing. Spacing between parts is crucial for both solution flow and electrical field distribution. Cram them too tight to boost throughput, and you risk shielding and uneven coating because the electrolyte doesn't circulate evenly, where the parts locally rob current from each other. High-density rack design is an art of strategic spacing. Pack parts close enough for efficiency, but not so close that they shadow each other or create stagnant zones in the tank. The best engineers use CFD, or computational fluid dynamics, envisioning how acid will flow around each widget. Now, figure out the load and scale up. This is where profits can skyrocket. Every extra part you squeeze in without quality loss directly boosts throughput. But don't overload your power supply. If your rectifier can push 5,000 amps and each rack fully loaded draws 625 amps, you can only run 8 racks at once. Thus, design your racks to match your tank size and power capacity. High-throughput anodizers go vertical, multi-tier racks that stack parts upward like skyscrapers in the tank. By using unused vertical space, they might double the parts per rack without expanding the tank footprint. Of course, the rack structure must handle the weight and ensure even current sharing across all tiers. The payoff is huge. More parts per run, same time. There are infinite ways to design a rack, and every improved design means improved productivity and profits. Why settle for 5 parts per rack when 50 is possible with creative thinking? In the world of anodizing, the rack is where the rubber meets the road, or rather where the electrons meet the aluminum. It's the critical interface between art and science, between engineering and materials chemistry. Mastering rack design means mastering anodizing from the ground up, or should I say, from the atom up.